and he read this letter from the President of the United States of America saying, "Hey, all of you officers are to train your kids. The Russians have invaded Alaska. They're coming down through California." We lived in California at the time. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is real.
Welcome to the Recalibrated. I'm your host, Meade Kincke, and I'm here to take us through the journey of being in the service, transitioning out, and what today looks like. Our guest, Pete Tingstrom, served over 30 years in the United States Army across infantry, special forces, aviation, and joint special operations assignments, retiring as a lieutenant colonel after leading elite teams around the world, including Joint Special Operations Command and Special Operations Command Pacific. Today, he is a veteran advocate and community leader, serving as president of the Special Forces Association, founder and owner of Aloha O'ahu Weddings, an event venue in Kanaho, Hawaii, and Pete frequently speaks at veteran and leadership events, sharing insights on service, resilience, and life after the military. Pete, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Meade, for having me.
Absolutely. So tell us about your humble beginnings as an infantryman.
Yeah, so, I wasn't really ready for college after high school, but that's what my parents wanted me to do. So I did it and didn't do so well. In fact, my dad even signed me up for ROTC class. He was an officer.
Oh, wow.
That was the first class I dropped. I didn't want to get my hair cut. I didn't want to wake up that early and do physical training. I wanted nothing to do with it. And little did I know, when I got home that summer after that year of school, my dad's like, "Hey, we're not supporting your education with that type of attempt. So what are you going to do with your life?" And he recommended to go talk to the recruiters unless I had a better idea, which I didn't. And the Army and the Air Force had the two best college program GI Bill bonuses. And I picked Army because my dad was Army. And so I enlisted in the Army into the infantry as a kind of an easy button. It wasn't something I was going to do a career. It was something I was going to get my college fund, GI benefits, a little bit of maturity, and get out and go back to college.
So that kind of, we accidentally went a little out of order, and that's fine. So being drawn to the Army kind of covered, really, where you go, oh, well, reasons and my father. So you had a bit of legacy there, and that's always, you see that in military, and you also see that in medicine as well, where you go like, well, dad was a doctor, I guess I'll do that sort of thing as well. So that tracks. So you go from infantry, father says, well, you need to do the thing, let's do the thing. How did you end up being a lieutenant colonel? Because not everyone go like, I want to be an officer. It's actually less common than most.
Yes. So while I was in, a lot of people thought, like, when I went to Ranger School, you didn't wear any rank. I was a corporal, like E4, when I went to Ranger School. And everyone thought I was a lieutenant. Everyone thought I was an officer. And my company commander in the infantry unit I was in kept saying, "You need to be an officer. You need to go to West Point." And I'm like, "No, I'm not making this a career. I'm not going to do it." And so I turned him down, even though he kept on trying to put me in to re-enlist. He tried to get me to become an officer. Sure. And I ended up leaving active duty as an E5 sergeant and went through an in-service recruiter and joined the Special Forces, the Green Berets. And then through that experience, I did that for another 4 years. I made E6 staff sergeant. And it was at that time when I was going back to college that I joined ROTC. And my brother's like, "Pete, you ought to be an officer if you're going to do this stuff anyway. Sure. You get paid a lot more money than you do on the enlisted side." And I looked at the pay and I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. You do make a lot more money." And so I I went ahead and went through ROTC when I went back after I got off of active duty, went back to college at Washington State University, did ROTC at the same time, and ended up getting my commission and doing a full career on the officer side and retired as a lieutenant colonel.
How about that? So that's a bit of a journey, and it's always a funny thing that I ask, like, did you seek it out or were you sought after? And it sounds like there may have been like a little bit of a mix between both for you.
Yeah, it was interesting all the different paths that I had throughout my life, and one of them was when I went to Washington State. I had two younger brothers going to school. Now I went 3 years in the Army, so now I'm behind them in school. And one of them was going to become an Army officer. He became a military intelligence officer. So I watched him go down that road. My other brother was a business degree, the same degree I was doing in college. When he graduated, this is a brother 4 years younger than me, but he's graduating college before me. He hated the jobs. He was getting 7 days paid vacation. And in the early 90s, he was making like $22,000. He worked for a Sherwin-Williams paint company, a Pizza Hut, all these different low management jobs, and hated it. And I was watching him go through this, and I'm like, I'm a business degree too. And then that's when I decided to do ROTC, go back on active duty, get 30 days paid vacation, plus all these 3 and 4 day weekends every month throughout the year. As an officer with enlisted experience, I was on a higher pay scale than the other lieutenants. So I was making like $36,000 a year, a lot more than my brother was. And I'm like, hey, it's a no-brainer. And I loved the military. I had so much fun with it. I decided to go back on active duty.
Well, that's so wild because, again, to your point of like, oh, yeah, I was doing this and like, university wasn't the thing, but now I'm in Special Forces Alpha. And you go like, well, that's a bit of a swing, like to go from one to the other.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had a blast doing it. So that whole military, whether I was on active duty or the reserves, I thoroughly enjoyed it and I excelled at it. I far surpassed my peers. I was always promoted ahead of everybody, and I just thoroughly enjoyed it. And so it was kind of a no-brainer for me at college to decide to go back on active duty as a commissioned officer to make it a career.
Yeah, you can tell, and that's sort of the thing of like some men are built for it, and it definitely sounds like you were, and it's kind of a horses for courses thing, sort of a chemistry thing of like, does this suit you? And if it does, and the stars align, and I think there's a lot to be said about being fortunate in it as well, where you go like, well, what if I were 2 weeks late to this? Would that have worked out this way? So I'm happy to hear that you actually had a good service. Let's say it that way.
Yes, it was fantastic. Lots of fun, met great people. And I always challenged myself to be, the best of the best within my platoon, my company, my battalion, and then go assess for other special things that where people were handpicked and straight budgets. And it was always a challenge. Nothing ever really got old, and I worked my butt off to really open doors for other opportunities.
How about that? So, kind of going back in time a bit, what are some of the stories that you're ever so glad that smartphones weren't around to record?
Oh gosh, one of the coolest things I did back before smartphones, before watching the news as a kid, I came home from high school one day, and my dad boarded up all the windows in the house. Everything was dark in there. He pulled out an envelope, and we're like, what's going on? And he read this letter from the President of the United States of America saying, hey, all of you officers are to train your kids. The Russians have invaded Alaska. They're coming down through California. We lived in California at the time. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is real. We had no idea.
It's happening.
We were floored. So my dad and my brothers, my brother picked us up. We got all dressed up in camouflage. We all put on uniforms. And my uncle picked us up from the van. The van had red lights in it. We got in there. And
Oh,
my dad took
wow.
us to Camp Pendleton in Oceanside, California, and took us through this little military training exercise where
No, really?
we did land navigation,
Oh,
we shot
wow.
guns, we did all this cool stuff. We moved all through the night. And I thought it was real. We all thought, hey, this is, we're going to be fighting the Russians.
Oh,
And
my goodness.
now we got to train the kids to do it. And, we had no idea with the cell phones. I didn't watch the news back then.
Yeah.
My dad made it look so real that we thought it was really happening.
So basically, your father watched Red Dawn and said, I know what they need. I know what they
we saw
need.
that too. I'm trying to remember what year that came out.
Oh, what was it, 88? Something in there?
Yeah, because
No, it must have been like 86, I think, if I recall correctly.
This was like 1982. So this is before Red Dawn actually came out.
Yeah. I because it was like mid 80s, I think, if I'm recalling correctly.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's so funny. So little Pete with the Red Dawn, like you didn't even realize they were shooting a movie trailer, and you were just the star of the show.
I have no idea, and it was a fun experience. I mean, all of us kids, we were in the Boy Scouts. I was in Eagle Scouts. I did all the merit badges and the wilderness survival and all of that kind of stuff. But this was kind of a different twist on navigation and the things that survival and things that we learned in the Boy Scouts. And so kudos to my dad for that. I've never heard any other kids go through that experience.
No, I think that was specifically, I think that was tailor-made for you, good sir. And it's one of those like, oh, you're good at orienteering. Here's a compass, but we're doing things a little bit differently this afternoon, just so you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was a lot of fun. Now we were sneaking through orchards, clearing roads, dodging cars, making sure no one would see us on our secret mission. He had the mission lined up for when 2 days later, when we were getting ready to go home, we went to the first primary pickup zone. He was teaching us all these, things that you need to plan for in life. Have an alternate plan, have a contingency. Wow. And, we had to get picked up at our alternate place because the first place was compromised. And he threw all these things. He really thought through this exercise to teach us these life skills that we would use for the rest of our life.
That's so funny. Yeah, so he basically said like he had like a few whiskeys with a few Delta operators and said, okay, so not like that. We're not going to do the walk that hard and that long, but maybe like a children's version. How do we do like, a Delta day for the kids?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that is absolutely wonderful.
It was so much fun.
My goodness.
I never had a son, and I have one daughter. I never had a son to kind of reciprocate that kind of thing.
Do the same, yeah.
They're not really in tune with what's going on in the world, and so you could easily kind of, pull that off, even nowadays.
Oh my goodness.
Take the phones away.
Yeah, no, definitely that. Oh my goodness. So nearing the end of your service, what kind of drove your decision to retire?
I drove my decision to what?
To retire.
Oh, so I was stationed out here in Hawaii at Special Operations Command Pacific. And my time was coming up. I got divorced while I was out here after 24 years of marriage. My daughter was in high school and she wasn't really speaking with me. And I was trying to build a relationship with her. And I got assigned in North Carolina. I asked them where they wanted to go. They wanted to go back to Fort Bragg, North Carolina. So that's where I went. Well, 10 days before I leave Hawaii, I ran into a lady from New Jersey that had been teaching here for 30 years. She was a friend of a lady that was a friend with my parents, and she invited me to a dinner party. I met her, and we didn't really hit it off at that dinner party, but we talked a little bit. She goes, yeah, I don't have anyone to play basketball with. I was clearing post. She was off for the summer as a teacher. So we both had time on our hands. We went and played basketball. We had a hike. We went and saw a movie. We went and played golf. But I was leaving. I wasn't looking for a relationship with anybody. I got in my car in Long Beach to drive to North Carolina, a few days later. And we could not hang up the phone with each other.
Oh, there you go.
All the way across the country. We would talk 8-10 hours a day. So after I sign into my assignment at Fort Bragg,
Yeah.
same thing. School starts for her. I'm still talking with her 6, 8 hours a day. We could not hang up the phone with each other. About 3, 4 months go by. I'm like, I'm coming back to Hawaii to visit you. And then every month after that, she'd come to North Carolina. We'd meet in Vegas. We met in Colorado. And we talked about, hey, would you, I was up for promotion. Would you come and come to North Carolina or wherever I get assigned next? She goes, well, I'm in the end of my career. I have 4 dogs. No, that's not in the cards for me. And she was such a catch. And after all these months of dating and getting to know each other, I'm like, I am not going to find someone as special as this. So I put in for retirement and
I like it.
Retired like 4 months later and moved to Hawaii, moved in with her and got married a year later.
How about that? Yeah,
So
it's always a curious thing.
I could have gone another 10 years, all my friends are generals now and it's fun to watch them, but I'm so happy that I have the lifelong partner in crime that I have now. And life's just been, at every fork in the road, I've always made the best of whatever that fork was. And it's all turned out great and I wouldn't change a thing.
There we go. So yeah, I mean, you blew past it, but the cannot, like the receiver is glued to the head, and that thing of like, what's your favorite color? How many brothers do you have? Like, what are you scared of? Like, when you end up doing that kind of thing, that's like the full deep dive where you go, I need to know everything, and that's when you know it's real. Like, it's such a raw feeling where you go like, oh no, let's capture the lightning. Like it's the best feeling. Oh my goodness. Okay, so she made decent out of you and said, no, you're not doing this anymore. Come and have fun on the island.
Yes. And I loved Hawaii. I had a wonderful time while I was here. And I'm like, yeah, living the dream. That's where I'm going to go back. And so that really, on the transition side of things, that really put a narrow path forward versus worldwide opportunities for jobs for me.
Where do I go? So, what do I do? Who do I chat with? All that kind of stuff. You're like, I know it's on the island. That's it. So going from there, what was the moment that you realized like civilian life is going to be a touch different?
The transition, my transition was fairly easy because I was sitting in the Army's Transition Assistance Program.
Sure.
And I'd always networked. I've been on LinkedIn for like 10 years prior to that, LinkedIn becoming popular and everyone signing up. And they're telling everyone, hey, get a LinkedIn account. And they were telling us, hey, you need to let people know that you are transitioning and what your timing is.
Definitely.
And let people know. So I'm sitting in the class, and while I'm there on my laptop, I'm like formulating this note and posting it on LinkedIn. Hey, I'm coming to Hawaii, and this is my timeline. Within 8 minutes, 8 minutes later, I get an email. Hey, they're hiring back at your old command at Special Operations Command Pacific. So I hit the easy button in my transition and became a defense contractor at the command I had just left a year earlier. And so
you went in the side entrance as opposed to the front door. That's all. You're like, I just don't wear a hat anymore. That's the only difference.
Yep, it's civilian clothes. And it was, so it wasn't as hard of a transition for me as it was for many others, because I was kind of doing the same thing I did before, doing future plans for operations in the Pacific out here. And so it really wasn't that different from what I had done previously in uniform.
Gotcha.
Which made that transition a lot easier.
Yeah, and that's not common, as you well know. Usually it's kind of being left for dead in a field and hope you do okay. It's just that kind of thing. Was there anything in particular that did not translate well, transitioning into civilian life?
Well, the thing that didn't translate well is what I'm doing now, because it was a complete different transition for me, where a couple came to me and said, hey, we can't find a place during that second year of COVID. Hawaii was pretty shut down. It was still max of 10 people in one space. You still had to wear masks. And this guy and gal wanted to get married on May Day, Lay Day.
Okay.
and they had 30 people they wanted to have at the wedding. And all the
Yeah.
resorts are like saying, nope, you can't do that. And I said, well, come on over to my house. Spread out, wear masks, don't wear masks, do whatever you want in my backyard. So
Like,
they
just buy
came to
me
our house.
like a cognac. We'll be fine.
Yeah, they came to the house and they're like, oh my gosh, this is a better view than anything we've looked at for the last year.
There you go.
And they came, and my wife and I had so much fun decorating and preparing for it and collaborating with them.
Nice.
I got, blessed off as an officiant, and we did our first wedding in my backyard. And we had so much fun doing it. I looked at my wife. I said, hey, we could start a business doing this. There's such a backlog in weddings, the industry. We could make some pretty good money doing this. And so, yeah, I quit my job and started a wedding and event business here in Hawaii. That transition was big because the entrepreneur side that I'd never done before,
all of a sudden
had to do a
kicked
lot
in
of
high
research.
gear.
Yeah, that transition was different.
Yeah.
And, thank heavens to, my planning and research, acumen to help do that. The one thing I didn't do well was do a business plan to really look through the whole left and right limits of what I was doing. Because you had a few hiccups along the way in planning the business, but that was probably the hardest thing in a transition standpoint.
Overhead and like I need a CFO and things and so on and so forth. But yeah, I'm glad you at least got that sorted. But as ever, when there's demand, you go like, we will figure this out. There's something to do here. This is excellent. How about that? So you kind of already touched on like I was going to ask who or what kind of helped you get through that, but I think the good lad keeping busy seems to have straightened everything out for you.
Oh my goodness. The one thing, in the military was easy. The next mission was assigned to you and you plan the mission and you go forward. In civilian world, hey, you have to define your next mission.
It's all greenfield.
And completely different thing. And I went to a course it was called the Commit Foundation. It was a transition course for veterans. And in that course, they had a book that they had me read. And I hate to read. I had to read a bunch of things through my own life, but that was one of my least favorite topics was English and reading.
Okay.
And they had a book called Designing Your Life, How to Build a Well-Lived, Joyful Life by Bill Burnett and Dave Evans. And it's a book that they both worked as on faculty at Stanford University, and that became an elective. And it was the most popular elective in the entire school that everyone signed up for this book and for this Designing Their Life. And it's built for anybody that post high school, post college, you're in a transition between jobs like I was, between being a contractor and an entrepreneur. And it helps walk you through all these steps to help design a purposeful, driven life in and taking a lot of the things that are used in design. And it's just a brilliant book that I recommend for anybody doing any kind of transition to help them figure out what they want to do in life. One of the best books I've ever read.
I love it. Well, with all of that, were there any like identity struggles? Because, when you talk about being day in, day out, you've already mentioned it. And I've said this a ton, so I have a ton of soldiers. When you go, well, the military is regimented. You know who you're answering to, you know who answers to you, you know where your next meal is coming from for the most part, and you know what your day looks like. And going from that to wedding planning, like, did you kind of need to die and be reborn and figure out who you are all over again?
Yeah, well, I had some of that. And what really helped me with that is, we call them sometimes tribes in the military, different tribes that you belong to. And a loss of a tribe is harder than a loss of a job. That family, that purpose, that sense of mission, that brotherhood. And so what really helped me in that transition was to get involved in veteran organizations, the Veteran of Foreign Wars, the Special Forces Association.
Mm-hmm.
I love to ride motorcycles, so I got involved with the Special Forces Brotherhood Motorcycle Club. The Disabled American Vets, the Veteran of Foreign Wars, all of these, American Legion. I started getting involved in all of them, and then I gravitated to some and became more active in some, volunteering for leadership to help lead them in Hawaii. And so all year long, I continuously are planning veteran events and activities and helping people in that transition, because it really does help. That brotherhood after the brotherhood, the team after the team, there are full of people that have been there, done that. Definitely. And you have people that are self-employed, people that are contractors, people that are plumbers, cops, whatever. There's somebody doing some job out there that you may or may not know, have someone to talk to about that. Yeah, and there's some veteran out there that's done that you could ask questions if that's the right path for you. And so that's what I really enjoy doing, is helping other veterans in that transition.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's something like, I mean, without getting dark, but it's kind of a thing when you go, well, what happens with like, oh, why are you talking on a call with someone that you've never spoken to about suicide prevention? And you go, do you know how common of a phrase I hear of, I miss my buddies? And I think that's something massive that people don't really talk about. It's like, listen, yeah, get money in order, get job, get insurance, get health, talk to the VA, all that kind of stuff. That's important too. But you are going to feel disconnected, and the surefire way to not have that happen is exactly what you just described. Of like, go share the same air with some guys, go have a chat, have a pint, tell them how you're feeling, and you'll be okay.
Yes, absolutely. And we've incorporated a bunch of in my Special Forces Association over the last 10 years, 11 years of living here. Yeah, I invite people to join, but they don't have to join. And so I have about 102 members in Hawaii that are members of the Special Forces Association, that are Green Berets. But I've met over 360 Green Berets that retired and live on the islands. And so a lot of them aren't members, but we do breakfasts. We do what we call pauhanas. We meet every month just to have drinks and share stories.
There we go.
And a lot of people, when they look at veteran organizations, they go to a VFW or an American Legion around the country. They look at it as a bunch of old timers, guys just drinking beer and telling stories. And they're like, hey, I don't need that. That's not for me. I'm young. I have a family. I have a job. That's for me down the road. And one of the things I've really tried to work hard on, at least with the Special Forces Association, and I'm doing it with the Veteran of Foreign Wars, is, and those are the two I'm most active with, is really bringing that younger mentality and people that could really utilize those resources with folks that are in those organizations. And it's really helped out a lot of people.
Well, it's something that needs to be said, and I'm glad you're saying it, because again, that whole, it's kind of like the dead and dying home mentality of like, oh, well, that's where the old men go. And you go, it's also where good men go. You're allowed to have fun with them too. Like, I think that's something that I'm so happy that you are saying, because it needs to be said. Well, there we go.
No, we have, one thing that I help build in the Special Forces Association is this online team house.
Oh, okay.
In this online team house, any one of our members can go onto it with their username and password and it's all privacy control. Yeah. Each individual can decide whether they want to share their information with the rest of our community.
Sure.
To where you can search for members, you post pictures, you post jobs. We have a forum, we have a blog. Nice. We have a bunch of benevolent organizations that offer trips to do things with your family and whatnot. And we post those so you can find opportunities to go scuba diving in the Maldives or whatever. All kinds of great opportunities, because there's a lot of veteran organizations that are out there that do things, 501c3s or 19s, that do things for veterans. And so we try to put this all in one spot and all on one page to help do this. And I have a really cool story about one thing I did here in Hawaii when Hurricane Helene hit Western North Carolina, devastated the region. And in the Special Forces, we have weapons guys, engineers, medics, communication experts. They lost all these capabilities out in Western North Carolina. I was able to pull up on a map and put a common operational picture, posted a web page, and contacted all these guys. And it's all started with a phone call I received from a guy in Washington State. My parents live out there in Asheville, North Carolina. I've not been able to talk to them. They're senile, and they were walking down the road with suitcases, kind of wandering aimlessly when their house got flooded. And I was able to, on a map based on that location, find a Special Forces guy, get him on the phone and say, here's a picture of this couple. Can you find them?
Go find them.
They were found. They were taken in a car, taken to an airport, and flown to this guy to take care of his parents in Washington. And that just started this big rescue effort where we joined in with canoe paddling clubs, jeep clubs, horseback riding clubs to help find and rescue people in Western North Carolina, you know, with guys that have backgrounds in survival and communications and medical backgrounds as 18 Delta medics. And it was just a great way of using this database to help others. That's amazing. So we've built the database not only to where people can update their profile and say, yeah, I have a truck, I have a chainsaw, I have, you know, whatever capability that you could use in a humanitarian assistance, disaster relief scenario. We literally could go in the database and search for people that could help out anywhere in the United States from that standpoint. And we did that for the Florida. When Hurricane Milton hit Florida, we pre-staged people in with the sheriff departments and the emergency operations centers. And so it's all because of this database that I built within, you know, a bunch of veteran members.
Well, I'll say this much. You're adorable, but I don't think it's just the database, good sir. Like, I've lived through Hurricane Katrina. We actually were in Louisiana at the time. And to say that FEMA don't exactly know what to do would be an understatement. So yeah, you can say, oh, it's just the database. I think it's the database and a whole lot of heart and action, to be fair.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. FEMA didn't come into North Carolina for quite a while. And our guys had
if they're in there late to the party, you already know. They are late to the party. And the same kind of thing of like, when you start watching people drowning to death in attics, you go, maybe we should do something because otherwise it's too late. Just is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful to see people in action, just volunteering, setting up centers, donating airtime for helicopters, bringing in supplies and getting it distributed out. And guys are big outside, especially in our Special Forces community, outside the box thinkers and mission first, people always type mindset. And anyway, it's a beautiful thing. In fact, we even had one gal that volunteered from Florida, was on her way driving down I-95, just getting ready to cross the Georgia border, and got a flat tire in her trailer at like 10:30 at night.
Sure.
She was by herself. She had a lot of mental issues and whatnot. She's a veteran. She's not SF.
Okay.
But I got a phone call in the middle of the night.
You're like, hey, someone needs help.
Someone needs help. I looked at the map. 5 miles from her location, I called the guy, went and helped her with the flat tire, got her on her way. It's a beautiful thing that we have this nationwide network to help a brother or sister out, and they don't have to be military to get that kind of help. And it's just one of the things that I'm most proud of helping put together. And I try to share the story because other veteran organizations could build the same kind of network with their organizations.
Definitely. That or get involved in yours, one or the other.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, to everyone enjoying what we're doing, if you're loving what you're hearing as much as we love what we're doing, smash that subscribe button. And, you've touched on it a bit, but I'll open up the curtain for you to answer. What is your mission now, good sir?
My mission, I lean into relationships and the community a lot, both through veteran organizations and
Mm-hmm.
through my business. And so I'm part of Business Network International,
Mm-hmm.
veteran-owned business network.
Sure.
And so I've tried to find myself and align myself with other like-minded people because networks and relationships are what gets things done.
Definitely.
And whether it's finding new people and spreading information about my business where people could come to Hawaii and elope or renew vows at my venue, or whether we're helping the homeless or helping with breast cancer or
Sure.
kids back to school drives and especially my motorcycle community, they're some of the most benevolent people. Some people call them gangs. They're really motorcycle clubs that go out, and every month there's a different uh, fundraiser that we're involved in to bring kids toys and helping
Sure.
with breast cancer awareness and just all kinds of different
Well, I mean, even rewinding back like
fundraisers.
to the 1980s, and you go back like, well, what's Hell's Angels? That's a real thing. It's
Mhm.
something that you go, oh, these are rough and tough guys, and you go, we didn't say they were bastards. We just said they were a bit rough and tough. There's a
Yeah,
difference.
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
No, a lot of people get the wrong. I was at a
Yeah.
9/11 ceremony I started here in Hawaii, and I was getting interviewed by the news, and she goes,
Hmm.
"Well, tell me more about your biker gang." And I was like, "Well, first off, we're not a gang.
Like, we're stepping off on
we're
the wrong foot. We
we're
don't
a
deal in
veteran motorcycle club." Yeah,
like madam, we do not deal in contraband. Let's just back one step up. It's a little bit different.
yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
no, exactly. It's really interesting. So I get involved a lot with those things,
Yeah.
and then what I love to do is share the beauty of Hawaii. And so I have a boat. I live right on the water in
Hmm.
this at this place called Kaneohe Bay. It's the largest protected barrier reef in the state,
Okay.
and there's a sandbar out in the middle of the ocean,
Hmm.
and the tide comes up and down. And one of my favorite things to do is to take people out there. It's whether it's a celebration, for healing, uh, being one with nature, and
Sure.
you're surrounded by these beautiful, majestic mountains, and it's just one of the most beautiful places on earth. And so, I love taking people out there, veterans out there. I marry people on the boat sometimes, or renew their vows.
Too
And so
cool.
it's just a very magical place that I
How
love
about that?
spreading the word about that opportunity too for people that want to do a destination wedding
Yeah.
or come out here for a vow renewal with close friends and family because it's a very magical healing place out here
Different
in
spot.
Hawaii.
Different spot for sure. So, how do you feel that, let's say, your identity has evolved or changed since leaving service?
Um, I've always been, in the military. You're a volunteer
Sure.
uh, to serve, and you're given the mission, and you go forward. In the civilian sector, I'm still volunteering to serve, but with a different hat. And I'm not being forced to because it's my job.
Sure.
I'm doing it because I want to help others, help the community. Uh, and I have the capability now through my work, my
Hmm.
retirement, my disability, with the funds coming in, and especially with the nonprofits where people donate money to, and the nonprofits can then help.
Sure.
Each nonprofit has their different mission set, so it's a different uh, group of veterans that we're assisting, or a different group of civilians that we're supporting with veterans who have the skills and the capability to help others. And so it's a different kind of mission for me now, but it's still one of volunteerism.
I understand. So, what's something as far as like strengths from service that you find serve you well today?
Well, strength in leadership to I've taken charge of some of these organizations, and
Definitely.
I've always been one to make the place better and
Boy
stronger than
Scouts
it was
honor.
when I got there. And so leadership is one, discipline to wake up each day. And, I'm in retirement, but I do all these jobs for the love of it. And so the discipline to still get out there and make a difference in the world. The capabilities of the planning and the military decision-making process, and a lot of skills that I've learned in the different courses uh, that I had in the military helped me in my wedding planning and planning events and the different things that I do now as a civilian. Um, there's all kinds of great skills. Everything that I've done in the military has helped me in my
All
civilian life.
translates for you.
All of it's translated
I love
in
it.
great ways, to where a lot of people stress out about weddings,
Yeah.
even the big weddings. There's all these
Always.
moving pieces, and
As
to
it
me,
turns
it's
out,
like,
it's kind of a big day. It's a little bit of a
yeah,
big day.
it's kind of a big day. They've looked forward to this their whole life, but I look at it, it's not stressful to me at all to plan those events. The
Sure.
catering, the photographers, the hair and makeup,
You're like,
the
I do this all
music, the
day.
venue. To me, it's an easy job, and
Sure.
I strive to make that event as stress-free for the couple as
Effortless.
possible. And I found it to be an easy transition to
There
plan
we
those
go.
events for them, to really keep them involved and let them know, hey, everything's taken care of from a wedding planning and coordination aspect. And I don't think the couples that have planned their events at my venue have had that kind of stress. I
Yeah.
think it's been that seeing how calm I am and how prepared I am with backup plans and the way I go about planning has really kept that calm and stress and
Nice and
anxiety
boring. Easy. I
very.
love
Yeah,
that.
they've all had a great reviews, and the events have gone through pretty flawless. I had one event. Everything showed up on time. Everything is decorated. Everything is exactly how I uh, envisioned the event for
Yeah, yeah,
them to
yeah.
be. And they show up, and I do extra things that they don't expect to
Mhm.
even go above and beyond the call of duty. And one event for one couple, and I'll never forget it. Everything was perfect. About 10 minutes before the wedding, a big cloud came towards, and it's an open air
Oh, yeah,
venue on my
outdoor,
backyard.
yeah.
It came and poured cats and dogs
Oh,
for
wow.
about 15 minutes. She
Okay.
went back inside. The guests all scuttled under under the roof and inside my house,
Mhm.
and everything got soaked. She took
Oh,
off her
no.
dress, her eyes, her makeup was all, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a nightmare. And the rain passed. It was the most beautiful blue sky, clear
Oof.
event ever. A bunch of guys came out and helped me, squeegee off the water.
Sure.
I had my leaf blower drying the seats, the little seats, and got the venue looking great. She got her dress back on. Everyone got out, and we got delayed about 30 minutes.
That's not bad.
But the background and the views for the pictures and everything was the most beautiful day we've ever had here
There you go.
at our wedding venue. And the party went on, and they were so thankful for it. And a nightmare turned out to be the best day ever. And
Oh,
so
that's absolutely wonderful.
it's been just a pleasure to bring those type of experiences to couples.
That's so fun. Yeah, actually, a little tidbit from my wedding, and you have a party and you have people, and it's all this and everything else. But to say someone who are good in planning is one thing. Good in a crisis sometimes can be separate, And we actually had a woman that, like the kind of conga line thing of everyone dancing, everyone do this. And we didn't find out until like hours later, maybe even the day afterwards. But there was a woman that was dancing and absolutely ripped up the tendons in her leg. We had no idea. We just found out. And that's the thing, is to your point of everything becomes seamless. You just go, no, that's not for you. You go drink and handshake and hug and cry and eat and do the thing. I've got this. And there's so much
exactly.
there. Oh,
Yeah,
my goodness.
one of the biggest things I've always I've always had
hmm
embedded in me, and whether it came from my dad or it's just, there is adaptability
Sure.
and able to change when circumstances change in front of me to open up new options. And, a lot of people, my wife kind of got mad at me. I had a shoulder replacement surgery
Okay.
on my right shoulder. And I had people that wanted to go out to the sandbar and they're out here on vacation. I'm like, yeah, I'll take you to the sandbar like a day after my surgery. A lot of people are like, what? You're crazy. What are you doing? I'm like, I could drive my boat with my left hand. There's no gas pedal. There's no, it's just forward, neutral, and reverse is pretty easy. And I'm going to be in the same pain sitting around my house taking drugs as I'm going to be on my boat out in the
I,
bay.
I
I'm
think
not
she
going to
may
run into
have been
anybody or
after
anything.
the whole. Yeah, I think she may have been after the whole thing of, sharks can smell blood in the water. That may have been something to the
I didn't go in the water though.
Okay, good.
But it's just that mind over matter.
Yeah.
And I always try to have a mission uh to where the mission comes first, and
There we
my
go.
mindset or my pain is going to come second to that. And you know I just put it in my mindset, hey, I'm going to be in pain whether I'm home or there. At least my mind's on
May as
something
well have
else,
some fun.
watching everybody have fun and having conversations, and it took my mind off the pain.
I love it. So we've touched on it a bit, but reframing, what advice would you want veterans in transition to know, like here and now?
Well, to while they're still in,
Yeah.
that they need to network. Get on
Mhm.
LinkedIn, professional networking. Don't try to get things at the last minute. Build relationships with people. That's what's going to get you farther than it's going to be who you know, not what you know, in most cases to get that job. And so build that networking first. Second is don't be afraid to ask for help.
There we go.
Don't be afraid to research and look for capabilities. Now they got ChatGPT out there, which is just amazing to be able to do, type of research that Google on steroids can do for you
Sure.
to help educate you and get contacts and information on how to do things. And the capability of an individual to take those resources, learn and use them
Mhm.
is very helpful.
I totally agree.
Trust, adaptability, mean everything. And when I transitioned out, I realized that those same skills applied to building community,
hmm
supporting fellow veterans, eventually creating my business. And, I just still serve in a different way, helping people and making meaningful moments in life. And it's building those relationships with people that can help you out and not be afraid to ask for help. That's really
I,
probably the biggest thing that I
I
would
love
pass
that.
on.
And I can't encore that enough. Like when it comes to like my like veteran clientele, most of them are after the fact. And there's one man actually recently reached out to a soldier who's still in, and he's like a year away, but he's already having a conversation with me, and I'm going, "Oh, I wish everyone were like you," because normally that level of planning is not present. You go like, "I'm out. I've been out for 6 months. This is difficult. What do I do now?" It's way better to exactly like you said, of like maybe make a few connections, make a few phone calls, tell people what you like to do, and sort that out beforehand. Way better of a plan. Goodness.
Yeah, I'd like to tell any veteran going through transition that you're not starting over.
Sure.
You're continuing forward. The military didn't just give you a job. It gave you
hmm
values,
Sure.
resilience, and the ability to lead, solve problems, taking care of people.
hmm
Those things don't just get turned in with your gear. And the
No,
hardest part that no one hands you is like I said, your next mission. And
definitely
so
not.
you have to define it yourself. And that can feel uncomfortable after a career where
Well,
purpose
it's
was
not
always
built
clear.
into the system that you've been a part of. So it's again going back to being regimented versus greenfield. That you go like, wait, this is my responsibility? Whoa. And then the head explodes, like that's just kind of where it comes down to. And the thing that I always, like, talk and teach is like exactly what you said. it can feel like, as I've said, the miniature death, but really the big thing about it is it's just reshaping the lens. If you talk about, oh, well, I had a battalion and it had 300 soldiers and this, and we had, Blackhawks and blah. And you go, how does that translate to civilian? And you go, okay, let's make it a little bit more general. How about you have leadership? You've overseen teams in high stress environments with quick turnarounds, and you go, oh, that does make sense. I like this. I like where we're headed
Absolutely.
here.
Yeah, that's what I was a program manager, hiring manager at one time, and helping people with the resumes. And
Mm,
one of the big things I saw veterans challenged with is taking and defining what they did in the military into civilian words, and
exactly.
then tailoring your resume for that particular job
Yep.
opportunity, looking at all those keywords in the description of that job to ensure that you're answering the mail, to be able to have that resume float up near the top to have that interview. And so, yeah, there's lots of things been helping veterans with that transition, especially when it comes
Yeah.
to resume writing
Oh, yeah.
and
Well, the
applications.
way I describe that, it's like, when you go to watch like stand-up comedy and you go, oh my goodness, this is a horrible joke. Like a bad CV, a bad resume, a bad, persona image, it's sort of like explaining a joke that didn't land. You want the joke to hit, and if it doesn't, you're not telling the story in the correct way. And I think that's the big takeaway is like, if you can give someone like a little bowl and they can have it and you go, I get this, I understand this, even if it's not the entire picture, because they don't need all of that, as long as it makes sense, that's where the
Yeah,
win is.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. For me, you know, that transition in service meant moving from serving alongside teammates
Mm-hmm.
in uniform to serving families, couples, fellow veterans
Sure.
in my community. It's a different environment, but it's the same commitment.
There we go.
And transition isn't about leaving something behind. It's about recalibrating who you
Hey.
are and continuing to serve in a new way.
I love
I
it.
mean, to me, it was a no-brainer, and it was, pretty easy for me to find that purpose in life.
Sure.
And I've always been one to help, take the shirt off my back to help other people.
There we go.
And now that I've been out of the military now for 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
and I find myself more and more doing what I can to help people recalibrate in their transition
I love it.
and finding purpose and helping them with the lessons I've learned in
Sure.
my life and giving back. And so, I didn't do that at first when I got out, but
That's
the
okay.
older I get, the more and more I'm giving back.
There we go. So let's flip it over and go from the civilian side. If you could drop in a thought, just like this idea, this concept, what would you want the rest of the world, to know about veterans?
Veterans are a special breed of person. They volunteered, and, and it happens with Peace Corps. It happens with anyone that volunteers to serve, to put their life on the line. First responders. There's a bunch of different folks, not just veterans. But for veterans, since I can speak for veterans, and for myself, being a veteran, those skills and attributes that I learned in
Mm-hmm.
the military on how that can support a business, any kind of business. And it
Sure.
doesn't matter what that veteran did, what branch of service they did, what job they did within the service. All those skills can be put to use in the civilian sector to help out corporate America, or wherever country they plan to go in. Veterans are a
Leadership
very
is
special
leadership.
breed of people. Yeah, you'll have some bad apples out there. Not
Sure.
every veteran's gonna be able to help a business out. Because every society has their good and bad apples. You got
Sure.
90% good and 10% bad. So hopefully you get the good.
I'll take a
But
90
the
cut. I
majority,
think that's a decent odd.
yeah. So yeah, don't just take one bad one and think all veterans are bad. They definitely
Sure.
aren't. Most are there, and most have that self-discipline, like I said, and
Sure.
problem-solving skills, and have those skills that can help a business thrive. and thinking outside the box. You end up doing that quite a bit in the military, to where a lot of people are regimented and have blinders on.
Sure.
A veteran can help expand that to maybe think through a way that you may not have thought of before.
I love it. So, getting into a little bit more humor, or however you'd like to cut it, what's a telly show or film that's either so accurate to military life that you go, wow, they got this nailed, or it's so bad it's good? What's like just what jumps out in the mind?
The one that jumps out to me probably the most is Band of Brothers.
Okay.
Being infantry and special
Sure.
forces, that series, that document, that movie, it captures the human side of soldiering. The boredom, the fear, the dark humor, the absolute dependence on the person next to you.
Yeah.
It's so described so many of those things that, leadership, the way we actually experience it. It just, the friction that between people and the activity going on, that's, whether it's poor planning, bad weather, logistics problems, personalities clashing with the New Yorker from a Californian. We've all in the military group of different societies,
Sure.
different backgrounds, different religions, and it's a melting pot of people. And
Sure.
it just shows a side that civilians rarely see. And it's war stretches discomfort and moments of terror and responsibility. And it just shows all of that in that film. It's one of the most brilliant, accurate depictions of military life out of all the movies. I mean, I love Saving Private Ryan, and
Sure.
there's a whole bunch of movies out there. But Band of Brothers, that's
the
what I
one.
think really does it for me, because
There we go.
the Special Forces is a brotherhood.
Yeah.
And working in small teams and really getting to know that person on your left and your right that you really are relying on in combat to protect you, and you to protect them and bring everybody home, that's probably the one I would pick.
I love it. Well, Pete, thank you so much for coming. And to ask, for people wanting to connect, where's best to find you?
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said, for people wanting to connect with you, where's best to find you?
You could look for Pete Tingstrom on LinkedIn is one way. If you Google Aloha O'ahu Weddings and events, that's my wedding business. You could easily Google that as well. Easily to find. In fact, you just put Pete Tingstrom in Google and you'll see podcasts and probably my Google profile out there.
There we go.
Easily to get in touch with me through LinkedIn or through our wedding business.
I love it. Well, we have more brilliant stories coming soon. And for those of you that want to support the channel directly, be sure to join the tribe on Patreon. Cheers all.
With the CASA, it was VFR, it was dirt landings, it was airborne ops, it was bundles, it was transporting people all over, it was all VFR, and I was out of the office for 3 hours